Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Azlam here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and if this is your first time of coming across my channel, kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you'll be the first to know anytime I post a new video. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much. So for today's tutorial, I'll quickly show you how to cut and attach a pleated cap sleeve to a ball dress for a baby girl. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Basic sleeve pattern drafted out here. This pattern is for 1 year old. Okay, and then for today we are going to use two methods of drafting a pleated cap sleeve. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut out this, and then I'm going to trace it on a plain paper. On this part I'm going to trace it here, and then I'll also keep this aside because we'll be needing it for the second method. So now I'm going to cut it out now and then trace it like I just said. So if you want to know more on how to draft a basic sleeve pattern, I have a video on that. You can also check it out. I will drop the link in the description box so that it will be easy for you to get it. So now this is it. Now this is the front and this is the back part of this sleeve. So I'm going to keep it here now and trace it out before we continue. This is what I have. I'm going to remove the pin, and then this is what I have. So this I'm going to keep it aside because we're going to use it for the second method. Okay, and always remember to indicate the front from the back so that you don't make mistake when you're joining your sleeve. Okay, so this is what I have after tracing it out. Now remember this, the armhole measurement, I need to mark the line, is 3.5, which is what I am using. So I'm going to connect that now to a straight line. Okay, so now this is the armhole line. Now when you want to make a cap sleeve, your cap sleeve should be above the armhole line. It's not supposed to come down below the armhole line. So your cap sleeve now should fall on these parts. It can also end on this armhole line, but it's not supposed to go down more than this armhole line. So now assuming, for example, I want to use 2.5 as my cap sleeve, so I'm going to mark 2.5 now from this part, and then I'm connect it to a straight line. This is the length of my cap sleeve. This is what I want to use as my cap sleeve. So now you can see that this part is no longer needed. This is why I said you should mark it out on a separate paper so that you don't end up drafting a new sleeve pattern. So I'm going to mark this out now. The next thing to do is to add 3/4 inch on top of this line following the curve. Okay, so now I'm going to add 3/4 inch. This 3/4 inch, or you can also use 1/2 inch depending on how many plates you want to use on this shoulder area. Okay, if you want to use more, you use 3/4. If you want to use less, you use 1/2 inch. Okay, and why I am adding 3/4 inch, remember I did not add my sewing allowance to this sleeve, so I'll be using 3/4. So I'm going to follow the curve now and mark out 3/4 inch all round. Remember, this is just a method. There are other ways of going about this. Okay, and then I'm going to connect the point using my free hand. You can also use your French curve to connect. Okay, so now this is what I'll be using. This is 1/2 inch here. Remember, I did not add my sewing allowance on the side as well. So this 1/2 inch is for the sewing allowance. That is if you're making if you want to add all this sleeve, but now this part is not necessary because this is just a cap sleeve. So I'll just connect this and then cut. You can see that it's very easy and simple. Now this will serve as both the sewing allowance and your pleats, the allowance you'll be needing to make your pleats. So I'm going to connect the line to meet up that place. Okay, so this is what we'll be cutting out to use to pleat our cap sleeve. Okay, all right, so this is it. By the time we take the pleats here, you can see that it's very easy. This is what you'll be having on your dress. Okay, so now this is how to go about using this first method. So now the second method is the one we call slash and spread method. So I'm going to keep this aside now and then show you how to use the slash and spread method to cut or to draft a pleated cap sleeve. Here I just traced it out on another paper as well. So this is the front and this is the back. Now we are using the slash and spread method. Okay, so I'm going to mark out the armhole, which is 3.5, and then I'll connect. Okay, so now I'm going to remember that we used 4 inches is the mid point. So I'm going to connect that now to a straight line because we'll be needing that center line. Okay, so now this is the center line. So before starting, I am going to add my 1/4 inch for my sewing allowance because on the main pattern I didn't add that. So I'm going to include that, which this is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do that all around and then connect before we now slash it open on that center line. Actually, this is also easy and simple, so you can choose any one that you're comfortable with and you will always get it right. Okay, so now this is it. So I'm going to use my free hand now and just connect. Now if you're not comfortable with 1/4 inch as your sewing allowance, that is if your hand is not strong enough, you can also use the 1/2 inch as your sewing allowance. Okay, so now remember that the length we're working with is 2.5. This is the length that I said we'll be using for that. So I'm going to connect now. Okay, so now we'll be working with this particular one. So this is the front and this is the back. So I'm going to cut it off now and then trace it out on a plain sheet before slashing it open. Now, assuming you don't want to add a plate, you can just go ahead and cut on your fabric and join on the dress that you're making. Okay, so now this is what I have. This is the length that I want my cap sleeve to be. So now on this center line, I am going to slash it open now and leave like half an inch from that armhole line. Okay, as you can see, I left some half an inch right there. So I'm going to open it up also this other way, as you can see, like half an inch as well. Now this depends on the volume of your pleats or how light you want your pleats to be. If you want it more, all you have to do is to add more of this. So now I'm going to open it up this way, as you can see, very small. Remember that the pleat will only be on this shoulder area. So I'm going to open it a bit now and then use my pen to trace it out. So it's as easy and simple as that. After tracing it out, also make sure to indicate the front and the back. So you can see that the cap sleeve is ready. So this is how to go about that. I'm going to cut this off now and place it on my fabric and cut, and then sew and join it on the bodies, which I've done already. After cutting it out now, so I'm going to place it over. I am using satin because this fabric is transparent, so I am going to fold it over this way now, and then I'll take the lining and place on top, and then I'm going to stitch it on this part first, and then I'll turn it over. So here I just stitch it, and as you can see, I top stitch, then I now turn it over. So I'm going to cut out the excesses now, and then I'm going to use a straight stitch to secure this before making the pleats. Now if you're not working with a transparent fabric, you can just make your pleats. No need to secure this, but because of the way my fabric is, I need to sew it all round before pleating. So after sewing it all around, this is what I have. So I'm going to notch the center point now by folding it over this way. This is the center point I am going to notch. Okay, so now on that point I am going to pleat, and after pleating I'll be needing 5 inches for the pleats. Okay, so when you finish all your pleats, you now decide how you want yours. For mine, I want each, that is from the shoulder, this is the body, so that is from this shoulder point here, I want it to be just 2.5 on this side, and also 2.5 for this back side, making it 5 inches. So after pleating, I will check if I have up to 5 inches all round before joining on this part. So after pleating, this is what I have. So I'm going to check if it's up to 5 inches that I want. Now you can see that is 5 inches. So now I'm going to fold it over and notch the center, make it obvious so that I'll know where to join it on my body's pattern. So now I'm notching the center point now. Okay, so I'm going to take this now, as you can see. I'm going to separate my lining and then sew it following that point. This is how I'm going to stitch it now before closing, taking the my lining now and then close the armhole. This part you can also decide to leave it open. You can just sew it together with the lining, then you can use your serger or your weaving machine and clean it up. So now let me just join it and then show you how it looks. So this is it. After sewing it, I now place my lining on top to close it up. So I'm going to give it a notch here and there, and then I'll turn it inside out. Okay, and that is how easy and simple it is to draft and attach a pleated cap sleeve to a ball dress for a baby girl. So you can actually do this in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so that is it. Let me now turn it inside out, and then I'll show you how it looks. So after turning it inside out, this is how it looks. As you can see, that is looking nice and beautiful. Okay, so this is how the front looks, and now this is how the back, as you can see, is looking so neat. Okay, so this is how to go about this. So please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all soon.